Sometimes I leap when I'm happy. Sometimes I leap when I'm sad. I had a dream. I was playing the Nutcracker on my violin. I put down my violin and leapt up onto the stage and danced. Deep leap, leap, keep. Our hearts will give a leap in the air, filling our world with peace, not despair. Feeling our hearts reach to the sky, our wings will come. Have faith, we will fly. Feeling our hearts will come together to make a change for the better. Our hearts will give a leap in the air, filling our world with love and more care. By Mirabella Okri.
I wish I could do that. You know, we take many of our moments for granted. And time just drifts by, and we forget to celebrate the singularity of the moment. The young lady you just heard reading that poem is Mirabella Okri. She's a poet, a painter, a dancer, a troublemaker, and my daughter. Just in case you're wondering, that was her original poem with absolutely no help from me. I think we should give a moment on this 10th anniversary of Unfinished to celebrate Christian and Capucine. It's my second time at Unfinished, and I can tell you it is one of the greatest festivals in the world. It is a unique festival, it is original, it is strange, it is full of surprises, and it's like a kind of homecoming being back. I feel very honored, and I want to share with you a special essay that I wrote on the theme of leap. Those of you who were here last year know that my essays have a way of dancing. We've got a real dance today. Leap, an essay. To leap is a curious thing. There's a tribe in Africa called the Maasai, and they perfected the art of leaping at an early age. They can leap vertically without much bending of their knees to 12 or 15 feet. They leap higher than anybody. They keep their bodies straight And in an act that seems like levitation, they project themselves upwards. They are, on the whole, a happy people. It is believed that leaping is good for you, that it improves your mood almost immediately, and that it causes a rush of happy chemicals in our neurological system. And it greatly aids the movement of lymph and makes the brain agile and makes one alive and present. But a leap is a magical thing. It is a projection from one realm to another. One leaves the realm of the earth and symbolically rises towards the sky. One transcends gravity. One defies the laws of our earthbound condition. That is why a leap is the first act of freedom. It is faith, first of all, that one has somewhere to go. It is faith that one has somewhere to land. To leap is symbolically to depart from a previous condition. It is a deliberate act of transformation. But in order to leap, one must first have a condition and a place that one wants to leap from. There can be no leap without acknowledging where one is. There will be no need to leap if the place in which you were was wholly satisfactory, if the place fulfilled you, if the place and its conditions fulfill the great desires and dreams of your soul. A leap is an acknowledgement of unacceptable conditions, or it is the fulfillment of a powerful desire for a higher state of being. So first there's the ground. And the ground is a condition, a history, a trauma, a poverty, a limitation, or in some way an imprisonment. No one leaps who was happy with what they were before. We owe the values and achievements of civilization to the leapers. But leapers are different from leaders. All leapers lead, but not all leaders leap. First, let's talk about the condition. It has its pathology, its chains, its gravity. This condition must be powerful. It's a world. It's perhaps the world as we have known it. This condition is our reality. And we have come to define ourselves by it. This condition might be our native patch of earth. It might be the professional field in which we operate. For me, it's literature. It might even be a relationship or a set of relationships. But it is what we are and how we perceive ourselves. It comes with its laws. One of its laws is that thou must be here, live here, die here, in this marked place. That is your fate and your destiny. It might even be the history of your art as you have found it. Another way would be to speak of it as an orthodoxy. Its great law is that this is all there is, and this is the best of all possible worlds. The shadow sides of that law are the punishments threatened if you dare to ask questions about this place, this field, this reality, this orthodoxy. Another law states, thou must be content with where you are. Thou must not dream of anything else. For the true punishment, the final punishment, is death. In the old days, one way of expressing that punishment was by banishment. Another was to be shunned. Another was to have the whole community render you invisible. To this day, and perhaps even more in this day, there are unspecified punishments for breaking the law of orthodoxy, the law of the ground in which you must stand and live out your narrow destiny. And for most of us, for our ancestors, this has been good. This has given them contentment, a sense of belonging, and the great value of community. But there is awoken in us, in some of us, a hunger without a name. Sometimes it's not even a hunger. Sometimes it's a necessity. Sometimes the world closes on you and robs you of a place to stand. Sometimes the ground beneath your feet is chewed up by history, or it festers with trauma, or it screams with poverty and oppression. Whether from hunger or necessity, this ground is no longer feasible. It can no longer sustain your being. It is killing you, or it is shrinking you. And you have no choice but to seek a higher place. Often that higher place does not exist. It might not be real. It might exist only in your mind, but you have no choice. So first there's the ground. Then there is the necessity or the hunger. Then there's the act. But then before the act, there is the thought or the vision or the dream. The thought is, I have got to leave this place. And it sounds powerful. But just as powerful is the thought, I have got to get to such and such a place. That place may be an actual place. It might be another condition, another reality. But sometimes we leap, as my daughter said, just for the fun of it. We leap for joy. When we leap for joy, it's because we're already in an altered state, and our leap confirms it or wishes to extend it. When we leap for fun, it is because we've already been taken over by a higher, lighter spirit or mood. Whatever the reason why we leap, we change our inner coordinates. We access a higher place. To leap is the body's equivalent of going somewhere else in order to recenter ourselves here. Leaping is an explosive act. It uses a small area and small contact with that small area to propel the whole body into space. It is the tiny equivalent of a rocket launch. If the horizontal has to do with time, then the vertical has to do with timelessness, or the transcending of time. Have you ever seen a cat leap? I always stop to watch cats leap. They gather power silently and quickly and discharge it efficiently and land noiselessly, lightly. Deer leaping in the wild, salmon leaping from the water, horses leaping over obstacles, a lion leaping after prey. These are all awesome sights, stopping the heart in delight and terror. A leap is different from flight. For flight uses several mechanisms to keep the body or form airborne. After the initial motion into the air, the body is kept there, the being is kept there by various processes, flapping the wings, backward discharge of energy like aeroplanes, resting on air currents. Purely for this thought only, flight is like prose, is like a novel. The narrative is kept suspended by plot turns and constantly unfolding and unresolved circumstances. Constant work in the boiler room is needed. But a leap is like a poem. It defies gravity. It is compact, it is brief, and it returns to earth. But that brief moment of suspension in the air, seeming to dwell there longer than is possible, borders on the miraculous. A bird flies through the air and we watch it, and after a while, we accept this impossible feat as normal. But a cat leaps on a high wall. We see it in the air, sailing upwards, helped by nothing, and have a glimpse of something a little supernatural. One is smaller in scale, but awes us more deeply. Why? I think because flight is a matter of space, while a leap is dimensional. It is interesting that we say a quantum leap, not a quantum flight. In the quantum realm, the leap refers to the leap that a quantum makes from one orbit to another, with all the implications that entails. It is a small thing that has huge consequences. Isn't that why it is so fascinating? Isn't that why that phrase became so intimate? A small thing that has huge consequences is closer to us than big things which have big consequences. A leap is human. It is possible. You don't have to be Superman to accomplish it. My life has been enriched by leaps. I'm always looking for a leap. In every work I write, I seek a leap. It may be hidden, it may be visible, but without that leap, the work doesn't happen. It might be a leap in thought, it might be a leap in spirit, it might be a leap in tone, but once I have that leap, then I have my flight. All the flight in my work comes from a leap made earlier. I can't fly without that leap. Like I told you, it's a long essay, so I'm going to duck and dive, as they say in London. And then I'm going to stop and have a conversation. And then we're going to keep going with this beautiful unfinished festival. In ancient times, there were societies that had bull leapers or bull tumblers. And so one could divide people into those who stand firm on the earth and those who leap. In political terms, the leap is even more crucial. Nations need to leap from where they are, from where they think they are. Everything great that nations do comes from a leap of imagination, of compassion, of innovation. If a society is not making a leap in justice, it is probably quietly dying. What is a leap in justice? It is when a society makes that great decision to no longer consciously or unconsciously produce poverty, or create an underclass of people who live below the accepted standards of humanity. I think that with the conditions of the world right now, with the climate catastrophe hanging over us, with wars in which children are killed and deliberately starved, with different kinds of genocide sneaking across the world unnamed and uncontested, with the poor getting poorer, with women fighting for the sanctity of their bodies on several fronts, with the cruel polarization of our politics, with the superpowers becoming more deaf to the cries of ordinary humanity, we need a new kind of political and spiritual leap in the world right now. We need to find new ways of being activists. This is because a lot of governments in so-called democratic countries are beginning to use the old autocratic trick of proscribing protests. In parts of Britain, certain kinds of public protest, marches, causes you can't support are being outlawed. This is also happening in America. So activists who are fighting for freedom, for climate responsibility in society, for justice, against genocide, against racism or anti-Semitism, against being anti-Islam, against human rights in all legitimate forms, need to innovate the art of activism. The truth is that we need a leap in the art of being human. Most of us haven't been all that great in being human beings. We have tolerated in silence abuses committed to other human beings. We have spread lies and prejudices about one another. We have tolerated the outrages that governments commit in our name. We hear of terrible things being done to others and we look away. In short, we don't really inhabit our humanity because we secretly qualify the humanity of others. I'm getting ready for a conversation in the middle of this essay. I'll read one more passage, and then let's talk. Humanity has to leap to a new phase. We have to become a new species if we're going to create the world which the magic and the divinity within us deserve. We cannot get there from here. We need to make an unprecedented leap into the higher possibilities of the human. But how is that leap to be made? I believe it has to be made spiritually first. To be devastatingly truthful with you, it cannot be made without the spiritual. I don't mean religious, for that's been done. We've had over 2,000 years of that, and yet here we are, still a genocide-inflicting race, still a grasping, greedy, mean, judgmental, class-ridden, race-hobbled, gender-limited, short-sighted, colonizing, oppressing species. Religion has changed us, but look at the things religion has done and sanctioned. No, I don't mean religion. We need to make a leap, and it has to be a spiritual leap first. The leap also has to be intellectual. We have to grasp it. We have to understand it. We have to have a sense of what is required from us and what we don't have at the moment. But above all, the leap must be from the heart. It must be a leap of love. Love for one another, for the world we can create for all humanity. We are not going to be saved without this leap of our spirit to a new plane. This is no longer a matter of choice. This is a matter of necessity. We have to become a new species or we will perish. But to become a new species of the human variety, it is not necessary that the whole world at the same time makes this leap. It is only necessary that we see the unavoidable need for it. This is how we evolve, by knowing what we have to become, by knowing what we have to do to survive. I'm going to pause there because I need a drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Ben. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing words. Ben is going to continue his essay after this, but we'd like to take some questions from you guys if you guys are willing. Any questions for Ben? All it takes is one person to start this out. We have one up here. We have microphones.
Just water.
I have a very open question, and it is that I think a lot of in one way, the world is better than ever. Many ways, the world is better than ever. But we are seeing too much of what we're not supposed to be seeing from a biological point of view. We're supposed to be dealing with 150 people and not know about anything that has to do with the horrible shit in the world. So that's one thing. But I think the main question I have for the author is, how do you think that we can understand biological realities about ourselves and not take in the whole world at the same time, and also lose almost all of our tribalism and extend our empathy to everyone, and instead of doing selective empathy, which I think is near sociopathy, how can we actually care about everyone, also those we deeply disagree with?
That was about 17 questions in one.
Big ones too.
Yeah, big questions too. I mean, you could have a seminar with one of those questions. But I'll try. How can one love everyone and not be selective in our empathy. Selective empathy was the old law. Selective empathy was the old law. That's what I'm saying. It was the old law. It was the law of our villages. It was the law of the small communities that we came from. We look after this lot, our village, our people, our tribe. That was the old law. But the world has been shaken up, you know. The world has been shaken up, not by people who are living in the Amazon forests, happily getting on with their dances and their drinks and their dreams. No, the world has been shaken up by people who wanted to go get more land and acquire more territories, build bigger empires, conquer more space. They shook the world up. You know, when you go conquer people, well, something funny happens. It's a two-way thing. When you go conquer people, first of all, you force them to be part of your dream, part of your perception of reality. You impose your perception of the world on them. That is what a conquering is. You know, you don't just conquer bodies, you also conquer people's minds, you conquer their souls, and you conquer their traditions. So as the old law is the law of selective empathy, but the world has been shaken up and mixed up, and now we're all in one another's lives and one another's dreams, in one another's villages. Tribes have merged and disappeared, and people have been shifted, and you know, there have been all kinds of movements. It's now got to the point where the world is no longer quite a village anymore. What happens in one part of the world shakes the tree in another. A sneeze in China shakes everybody else. You know, a bad cold in Africa travels to America. Everything is more interconnected. So the old law of empathy for the selective few of our own people is no longer possible, because now our idea of humanity has widened. It's no longer our village. It's no longer our nation. It's now the starving people over there and the bullied people over there. The world has got bigger, but it's also got smaller. So how can we achieve this empathy for everybody? I don't think we have a choice. The limited empathy is killing us. We need to expand. We need to expand the heart. That's my response. We have no choice. I didn't compel the world to get all mixed up. But the world is mixed up and I have to deal with it. And I think the best way to deal with it is with love rather than hate. And I think love is tougher than anything else. I think love is tougher than revolution.
That's a great point. Next. Top here.
They're arguing amongst themselves.
Oh, Sir Ben Okri, I think my thought is unfinished. So I'm just putting an observation on the table with the hope that maybe you can challenge it, grow, nurture it. But I've been observing this very beautiful form of activism, of intergenerational activism. I found it profoundly beautiful for your daughter to open up this space, which is something that is really rare in events and in the places that we move in the world. And I saw it in the work of Vanessa Andriotti in Brazil with her daughter. Your contemporary, Bayo Akomolafe, talking about their kids and co-creating, you know, with very young souls and voices. And I find it extremely powerful, yet I can also feel the weight on the shoulders in the families of holding this. And I also see it stemming from less dominant cultures, less colonial cultures, and it's just a beautiful form of what is being put in front of us and reminding us, that value lies in youth, lies in all of us regardless, and it's, for us to share that with our offsprings and with everyone. So I'm just probably interested in what is the new form of activism that you're observing, because as you rightly said, the current one, the one that we are familiar with, doesn't seem to hold. And is it building that within our offsprings? That's my unfinished thought.
Thank you very much. Well, you said a lot. I don't need to respond. You said a lot just by yourself. But a couple of things I'd like to add to that is to say, when you ask, what is the... It's not that activism is failed. It's just that power, as always, has a way of... power is not stupid. I wish that it were. Life would be a lot easier if power was stupid. But it's not. Power is intelligent. And so they adapt to what we do. We raise banners and they ban banners. We gather together and sing and shout and they ban singing and shouting. Then they ban coming together in large communities. So we need, all I'm saying is we need to just keep evolving the meaning and the possibilities of what activism is. And one of the forms of activism I'd like to explore at some point is the activism of humor. Because it would be funny to have governments ban laughter, which they might get to that, to ban jokes, which they have in some countries. I had a friend who was put in prison because of a joke he made. As for intergenerational, it's crucial. That's what I love about all of you here today. So many generations. I say the age group in this hall goes from 8. Is there someone younger than 8 in this hall? 7. We got a 7-year-old in the hall. My goodness, what's your name? What's your name? Sabine. 7-year-old Sabine. We go from 7 to who's the oldest person in the hall, do you think? Who wants to own up to being the oldest person in the hall? The oldest and the wisest. Do we have a 90-year-old in the hall? No. Do we have an 80-year-old in the hall? Capucine, we're going to get there. Do we have a 70-year-old in the hall? What?
Liars.
They're liars. Yeah, I can see a few 70-year-olds. But I love that, from 7 to unacknowledged 70s. I'll take one last question, I think, and then I'll go back to my essay.
Hello.
Hello.
Why have you chosen the words evolve into a new species and then with the help of spirituality instead of just saying evolve spiritually?
No, I'm not talking about evolving spiritually. Evolving spiritually is too slow. For right now, evolving spiritually is too slow. We've had 2,000 years of doing that. You think about it, you have a lot of time to do something. 2,000 years, 3,000 years, 4,000 years. Well, at some point, it's like an aeroplane that takes 4,000 years to take off. We've had 4,000 or 5,000 years of wisdom. We've had 10,000 years of wisdom. We've reached the point where we have to take off as a species. So it's not evolve. We need something bolder than an evolution, because we've had plenty of time to do that. This moment that we're in as a species calls for something Who said that? Did you say healing or peeling?
Kick them out.
I like peeling too. Because we need to peel off all these layers. Yeah? Rip off all these layers.
Yeah, that's true,
Yeah, peeling, healing. Mirabella, we're coming for you. Peeling, healing. I like that. There was a lady at the back who wanted to ask a question. I want to make sure you get heard.
Hi. In an interview, Ezra Klein was asked why is the Democratic Party in the States failing with its vision, and why so many people go to the conservatives and their vision, because that's powerful and it gives people stability. And he failed to answer that question because he said that technology doesn't really offer the full spectrum that we expected. And so I'm asking you the same question that he failed to answer. What are liberals and generally people with all-encompassing values, so the ones that you've been speaking about this today, what is an alternative vision that we are failing to see for all of us? Thanks.
It's a very good question. It's a beautiful question. It's a question I keep asking myself. You know, the left has such beautiful ideas. Why can't it communicate those to the people? Why is there a swing? Why is there a right-wing swing across the world? You know, I think there are many reasons. I can't speak for the Democratic Party in America because they're hobbled with lobbies. You know, they take money from all sorts of people. They're complicated. I was talking to Alfredo Jar, who's in the audience here, a wonderful man, an artist, and he was telling me about the hobbling of the Democratic Party by its complicity with so many elements. You know, you take money and you're involved in so many things, and your tongue gets tied down and you can't speak truth. The thing is, the people are responding to people who seem to be speaking truth to them. You know, for some reason on the left, the left have lost the ability to speak charismatic truth. And I put the word charismatic in front of truth because truth, you know, needs to have a dance as well. You can't have truth totally naked all the time. Truth needs to dance. Truth needs to sing. Truth needs to rouse us, to inspire us, to give us a sense of freedom and possibility. It's a long time since we had that kind of truth. You know, we have some figures, isolated figures in Europe, great figures from the left who are doing wonderful things. But we need a new kind of, this is what I'm talking about. We need a new kind of energy, a new kind of vision, a new kind of leap. We need to lose some of our chains. We need to lose the language that we speak in. You know, the language of the left sometimes gets a bit blurry and gets a bit divisional. We need a new language. We need a new poetry. The left hasn't, you know, engaged with poetry enough. There was a time, you know, when revolutionaries spoke nothing but poetry, and people responded to that. So we need a new left, basically.
Thank you for all these questions. Ben, I just want to sneak a quick one in, Audrey. This is believe me, it's a smaller issue, so I think it'll be quick.
Yeah, yes, you have to use your power. You have to use your powers as the MC.
Good. So I was a physicist turned journalist, and I noticed there was a time in your career, I think, if I got this right, that you were toying with the idea of becoming a physicist as well. That's a leap. What made you want to become do the leap to become a physicist, and then the leap to say, no, actually, poetry is more fun? Because I love coming off of what you just said, that the truth needs to dance. And I personally was attracted to both of those fields because there's a dance to particles and there's the idea of trying to understand the fundamental truth behind the fabric of the universe, and culture and life are common to both of those pursuits. But I'd love to hear from you why you took that leap.
Well, you know, when I was a kid, science had poetry, you know. And as I got closer to it and studied more of it, the poetry kind of fell away. And then one day I raided my father's library and pulled out a book. And it was a book of dialogues. At the time in Nigeria, I didn't know how to pronounce the name properly. I thought it was Plateau. Plateau. And I started to read this dialogue, this book called The Symposium. And it was asking questions about love and about the soul and about human destiny. And I had goosebumps forming all along my arm. And those goosebumps changed me from science to poetry.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Ben's going to continue his essay. Remember, he's going to be signing books over there as well after his talk too. So thank you, Ben.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, we're going to keep with the leaps.
Okay.
We're going to keep with the leaps. And so, we need to estimate ourselves rightly. The courage of our leap should come from the truth of what we are. The courage of our leap is a confirmation in the body of what is true in the spirit, that we are more than what we seem. What is native to us is transcendence. But the leap I'm talking about is not a single act, it's not a jump. It is an audacious act made real with hard work and consistent effort. You had praxis last year, but after praxis, what comes next? Let energy ascend prophetically. This is a world call, a world cry. So much suffering in the world right now. Children of war can't sleep at night. They are flattening cities, populating the world with vengeful ghosts. The people are being wiped out beneath our gaze. There ought to be bells ringing in all the cities of the world, ringing for each innocent death. The only reason people do not leap is because they do not see it. For them, it is easier to continue as they are. But it is important to remember this. We are born from a leap in the womb. I get the feeling I've said enough. So I'm going to end it. I'm going to go to the last paragraph. In the end, the greatest leap is not a leap. I asked my daughter a question that was a paradox. I asked her, I said, Mirabella, who leaps further? I said, who leaps further? The one who in a spiritual state goes beyond the ends of the universe, or the one who makes the mightiest jump? Guess what her answer was? She said, it depends on what you know. It's not bad, eh? The greatest leap is not a leap. It's a breath, maybe a dance, maybe a silence, an ascension that does not ascend, a ladder that leads to where we began, a journey to another universe that begins in an act of love, a new world that grows from the edge of a dream. It is because we are unfinished, because we are the great 7-day project of humanity on its 6th day, because the garden is not complete, because the portrait of humanity as yet awaits its brush strokes of genius, because we are the promise but not yet the fulfillment. Because of all this, this dream, this leap is needed. It may be that we are an unfinished cosmic project. It may be that we will interrupt the journey towards our own completion, but that portrait of humanity is ours to paint, and the beauty of what can be created amongst us, between us, together, ought to be our greatest inspiration. Thank you very much.
Please stay for a moment. We have a beautiful dance performance because the truth needs to dance, and we've got that for you. So please stay. And then after this dance performance, there's a book signing in the library. Thank you.
The artist you're about to see is Charlotte Jarvis, choreographer, dance artist, and writer of haikus. Someone said, begin with a leap. And so I leapt over the great sleep with a heavy stone in my head. But I was light as a song or an African bird, one you might see in the safari of dreams. So when I leapt over, where did I land? These are questions for the sand. It turns out that the great sleep is a giant wall that's made of inverted flowers, or songs that are sung inside out, if you know what I mean. When they wring you dry with pain and life and death, when they break your legs with blades and with feathers, when they squeeze the mystery out of you, all that's left is that stone, heavy as the earth. Then they ask you to leap over your own death without much hope. And how do you do that in the sea or on land, without drowning, without singing your protest in a sound? These are questions for the sand. But my hour drew near. All the things I made were full of fear. The flames and the birds were all that I could hear. And as the night came on, with pollen settling on the glass ceiling, and darkness grew from all the lonely songs in millions of lonely places, and as the wings of death surrounded this ledge where we stood before the great abyss, that's when someone said, "Begin with a leap." And like a lioness, like a piercing trumpet note, like the first color of dawn, or like the brilliant tail feathers of a love-struck peacock, or even like a shy kiss that starts a fire, a touch that makes a generation, or like rain that covers the dry fields with the music of the oracle, I leapt right over the great sleep with a magnet in my heart.
Kurai kita, yo dibaye.